this is Evelyn Lopez. Welcome to another episode of Sustainability in Your Ear.
Sustainability in Your Ear.
Sustainability in Your Ear, the Earth911.com podcast. This week, for the week of October 29th, 2018, we are recording at the spookily cool Moonyard Recording Studio in Tacoma, Washington.
Huzzah.
It's Halloween in a few days, so this is our Recycloween
I love
episode.
Recycloween.
It's the best. So welcome, everyone. Today in the Moonyard studio with me is Mitch Ratcliffe, our Earth911 publisher. How are things going?
They're going great. State of the world is a mess, but we are making progress on cleaning it up.
Very good. We are joined by two of our Earth911 writers, Sarah Lozanova and Trey Granger. Sarah, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Evelyn.
Excellent. And will you be celebrating Halloween this year?
I will be. I have two children, and they're very excited to celebrate.
Oh,
What are they going as?
My daughter, she's not sure what it is, sort of like a fortune teller type costume, and then my son is going to be a ninja.
Ninja.
Oh,
Cool.
the best.
Okay.
The best. And Trey Granger, coming to us from Phoenix today, Trey?
That is correct. And today I'm going to be Trey Danger Granger on celebration of Halloween.
There you go. Now, do you have your
good.
do you have your Halloween bag ready to go out and go trick or treating?
I still have to figure out a costume. I have several house parties I'm supposed to go to this weekend and got to figure out what I'm going to be this year.
Well, I like Danger Granger.
Mm-hmm. I think that's good. I'm not sure what that looks like exactly, but that's definitely a great name.
You know what they say in The Incredibles? No capes.
No capes?
No capes.
Mm-hmm. No. All right. Well, this year, for the first time, I will not be home for Halloween. I'm going to be down in Los Angeles, so I do not know what I will come back to. 19 years I've been giving out candy at my house, and this year, nope, nothing.
You may need to clean up.
Turn the porch light off.
Yeah, I know. We have a really bright porch light, too. Oh, it's too bad. Oh, well.
Well, you know, you got to deal with it. If you're going to travel, the TP may come.
Yeah, I don't have any teenagers in my street, though, just little tiny kids.
Good. Well, and then their parents will restrain them.
Probably. All right. Well, before we get into our exciting Recycloween stories, we have some surveys to talk about.
Yeah.
So, Mitch, what's our first survey?
Well, you know, we do this every week. We ask a question. Of course, this is not scientific for those of you who are counting, but we do get several hundred results every week, or responses every week. And the first of our three that we're going to be talking about is, have your local recycling rules changed this year? Now, this is something that's happening as a result of the Chinese ban on waste imports. And we wanted to find out about how recycling programs are changing for different kinds of materials, as well as whether or not people are aware of it. Mm-hmm. First off, 35% of people responding said that no, they have not seen their program change its rules, which is a great thing, and that the fact that they're aware of it is as well. Another 27% said they don't know, which may just be a communications problem from their local waste or recycling program. They may not have found out about a change. But then we did find that another 44% of people.
Are you trying to add those up in your head?
I was adding them up in my head. 44% of people have seen changes in their programs. Now, 18% said they saw changes for paper, plastic, and glass, while only 4% said that they saw changes for their paper rules. And plastic came in at 12%. So you're seeing changes, 4% for glass too. You're seeing changes, and they're focused primarily in plastics, it looks like. More than anything else, people programs are starting to reduce the plastics that they accept. And that's just not good news. We need to continue to evolve our recycling programs in order to keep these levels higher and also get people educated about how to do this stuff. So we're working on that with the Earth911 database, obviously, but we hope that folks will reach out to their communities, find out what's going on, and if you would, share it with us. We'll be glad to have you help us do the updates. It's quite a job.
Yeah.
Something else to note, guys, is it's not always changes for the bad. In my case, my local curbside program actually started accepting glass, so it was a positive change.
How'd they communicate that to you?
I just had to go to the website and find out. There weren't any sort of postcards or flyers.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing that we really need to have is greater communication between all the stakeholders in this process so that we can get better at it.
I think that's the key, because I actually think that my recycling rules have not changed, but that we weren't really necessarily following them very closely. So now they're being more precise about exactly what they will accept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what they accept cannot be as contaminated. So
Right.
that's the secondary factor that we're seeing. Now, it's great, though, that things like glass, which, of course, is also very valuable in terms of its recycling,
Yeah.
are being accepted more. And because that can be done here in the States without shipping it off to China, or China will take it because it's not contaminated, that's an improvement. We do need to recognize this is going both ways.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the next one. So how many single-use plastic water bottles does the respondent estimate that they've purchased this year? And let's give a big round of applause for the 23% who said 0. I avoid them at all costs. And we actually have a very responsible audience. 49% say they buy 1 to 10. So they only purchase a single-use bottle in extreme circumstances. And that 1 to 10 could easily be eliminated from their lives, I would imagine. So we're talking about almost 75% of people who could really have eliminated single-use in our respondents. 11% said that they buy between 10 and 50 a year. They say, I've got work to do. 50 to 100, there's 6% of the respondents said that they were in that category. And finally, 11%, the people who need to do the most work, purchase more than 100 single-use bottles a year now. So we want to encourage people to think about what they do when they purchase something. That plastic bottle is a form of pollution. And if you don't reuse it, it's immediately pollution. These folks are thinking about it. It's great to see that particularly 73% are willing to do the right thing and do it only in the most extreme circumstances.
How many do you think you use?
I think I probably have bought 14 or 15 this year.
Yeah, I was thinking I really have cut it down because I've been trying to carry water bottles with me, but I think I'm probably still likely to buy one a month.
Yeah, right about that, I think. And for instance, this last month I drove from Seattle to Spokane and ran out of the water that so I ended up buying it because there was no water refill station anywhere, and you don't want to just take it out of the tap in a
restroom type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Trey, what about you? Are you a 0 user?
As my recent waste audit article will show, I do buy some bottles, but I will say most of it is for emergency use. A lot of these natural disasters in this year, the first thing that goes at Costco is those water bottle packages. I definitely encourage people to have a case on hand for emergency sake.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Sarah, what about you?
I'm in probably the 1 to 10 category. If I'm out somewhere and I forgot my water bottle and I feel heat stroke coming on, I'll buy a bottle of water, but it happens just a few times a year. Or possibly emergency supplies as well.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about the emergency supplies. That's a good point. Well, number 3.
And this is one about both people's feelings about whether it's polite to help one another's neighbors in it getting better in recycling. That is, do they point out when somebody's making a mistake as well as when they are doing right? We asked, have you helped a neighbor recycle better? 75% said yes, it's the right thing to do. And 25% said, no, I don't want to be pushy.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably about normal for virtually any form of social interaction. 25% of people are going to stay away from it generally, and 75% are going to engage in some degree of interaction with their neighbors.
Yeah, I have to say, I have never talked with a neighbor about recycling. But if you put it in a social media context, I have...
What's a neighbor?
Yeah, I have commented a couple of times on recycling posts about, I have a friend who has decided to, her hill she's going to die on is she will now rinse out her cat food cans, but she will not dry them.
So that's the kind of debate that could be a little bit tedious for everybody involved. What do you think, guys? Sarah and Trey, how do you think your neighbors stack up on this?
Well, I live in a eco-village community, so I think recycling is pretty high in everyone's mind already. One of the things that we started doing is we have a swap shelf, because I've noticed in the garbage, there's a lot of times useful items.
Yeah.
So we've started a swap shelf now in our neighborhood to try to extend the useful life of things. And people will put all kinds of stuff in there, things that are recyclable, like egg cartons, because some of us have backyard chickens or things like that. So it's been a way to even further reduce what we might otherwise be recycling.
What about you, Trey?
What's great about my community is they just started doing smaller garbage bins to lower your trash bill. And I'm really impressed that a lot of my neighbors have switched to that smaller bin. So you can obviously, they're recycling more to reduce what they throw in the garbage.
Well, I have been talking about sustainability with my neighbors for years about various things, but they tend not to be so much about recycling, but about how to take care of the yard.
Yeah.
So check out this week's survey, which is kind of an opinion piece. And that question is, can humanity achieve a sustainable economy? Are you on the hopeful side or the less hopeful side?
This will be a very interesting one to see, because I have to say, in conversations with friends over the last week, I'm not hearing a lot of hopeful.
No, and every day it's harder to be hopeful.
So I'm hoping this sort of shows us that there is more hope out there. Although I also take it as kind of a charge for us. We've talked before. This is our charge.
It is.
Try to provide the information so that people can feel more hope.
And I think there are good things going on despite policy. And that is where we need to focus on people's actions and how they're changing their personal lives, and that's extending out. Those ripples will reach the rest of the world. Butterfly effect is in effect.
Good.
And corporations, a lot of corporations now put out sustainability reports, have set targets for using more sustainable materials or reducing their carbon emissions. So I think that's a way that we can help leverage change too, just voicing our concerns as consumers.
Absolutely. And communicating the requirements we have of companies about sustainability when we purchase from them, which is a conversation a lot of companies call us and have. So they are interested in it. We just have to find a way to streamline the communication.
Yeah.
And some of it's pretty easy. Like I might be at a restaurant and realize that they have styrofoam takeout containers, and I'll ask to talk to a manager about it, or things that might just take a few minutes, and it kind of puts a face to greening operations. Yeah,
in fact, I point to specific sites when I run into a takeout that has styrofoam. I point them to sites that have reusable or recycled materials and say, why don't you buy this company's box instead of the one that you're giving me, because I'd be happier.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. Really good idea. So, Mitch, you've been pretty busy with the interviews. What kind of interviews can we find on our website right now?
We're doing at least one interview with an innovator every week, and we've got 3 that talk about this week. So first was we talked with Mark Cleveland, who's the founder and CEO of Hitch. Hitch is there's the Hitch app, and it allows you to share your carpooling, both with coworkers or not, and get incentives that are contributed by your employer, by nonprofits. The city can participate if they want to lower traffic. And so essentially they're dealing with the logistical problem of bringing people together to share a car. That's the opposite of Uber, where they are allowing somebody to purchase time in somebody else's car. They're incenting people, giving them money to share. And it's really had a big impact in a number of cities, particularly in North Carolina, where they are based. They've had a lot of changes in local commute patterns, and they're just starting to go national. So it's a really inspiring story of how we can, just by organizing ourselves differently, use less gas, put fewer cars on the road, and clean up the environment.
Oh, that's great.
And then next, we also talked with Bruce Nagy, who is author of a new book called The Clean Energy Age. And Bruce has been writing about our area of concern for many years. And his book is full of real advice, top 10 lists for homeowners, for business owners, for policymakers, as well as a lot of documentation of various programs and what happened. So it's a great book if you want to kind of dive in any page and just start reading. You find something fascinating. And it's a book full of actions you can take. So we really enjoyed the conversation with Bruce. And finally, we had a conversation with Jeremy Walters, who's with Republic Services, which is the second largest waste management company in the United States. And he was explaining what you need to do if you're going to recycle an iPhone or a Samsung Note now that the new versions have hit the market. Oh, yeah. Of course, one of the first things to do is take it back and get a trade-in, to find other ways to reuse it, donate it to somebody else. But if you're going to put one of these phones into the waste stream, you have to do it the right way because they can explode.
Oh.
Under pressure, a lithium battery will burst energetically, which is an explosion. And that is, if you're in one of these materials recovery facilities with all that paper and plastic around and something
that can
ignites,
be a disaster.
It can be, and at the minimum, it's going to stop the program for hours.
Yeah.
Right. And the worst thing is that if somebody's nearby, they can get hurt. Mm-hmm. So we want to be careful about the people who do our recycling. So we have to separate these things and handle them the right way. And that means not just dropping them in your curbside.
Right. Wow. That sounds really good.
So it's Recycloween.
Oh, the stories of Recycloween. Well, Mitch, why don't you first tell us how to get involved in America Recycles Day?
Sure. So this is a story on the site. Every year we like to remind people to participate in America Recycles Day, which is sponsored by Keep America Beautiful. It's on November 15th, and you'll find there are thousands of local events around the country, which you can find at the kab.org site. So head over to Keep America Beautiful and find out how to get involved. But one of the things that this year's program is emphasizing is knowledge, like we were talking about before. What goes into our recycling programs, how to handle different kinds of materials. We had recently surveyed, speaking of surveys, people's recycling knowledge, and 66% of respondents indicated that they're somewhat to not at all knowledgeable about how and what to do with their recycling. So Keep America Beautiful is working this year to expand consumer education with the program. So if you want to get involved, like I said, there are local events all over the country. We listed just a few on the site. In Urbana, Illinois, there's Fall into Recycling, which is happening on November 3rd. A month before Recycling Day in Manassas, Virginia, there was the Prince William Recycles Day on October 13th. And you can find, again, thousands of these. Get out there, get involved. And this is an opportunity to get together with your neighbors, share some knowledge and information. So maybe the thing to do is get a couple of pieces of action from the KAB site and walk across the street and talk to your neighbor about it.
Very good. Well, one of the reasons we included this story this week is that I think that the idea is bring recycling into all of the different events of your life. Mm-hmm. So with Halloween coming up, think through how does recycling and minimizing my use of harmful materials work with this. One of the things that's in the story about America Recycles is this pledge. The pledge is the Be Recycled pledge. And it says you will focus on learning about recycling. You will act within the next month. You'll reduce the amount of waste you produce, and you will share. You'll encourage one family member or friend to also take the challenge. So with that in mind, we want to turn to, recycling and Halloween and how things are going. And so, Trey, we have you first up with our mystery. About bubble wrap. Is it recyclable?
So bubble wrap, it is recyclable. It's a great story, a great solution to this issue. But I would definitely encourage people to reuse it more than anything. Mm-hmm. For starters, what it's made of is a type of plastic called low density polyethylene, or number 4 for those who follow the resin identification chart.
Or LDPE is the other way people will refer to it.
Yes, LDPE, correct. For those who are looking for a similar product, it would be like the produce bags you get at the grocery store. They're a little thinner than your typical shopping bag.
Right, okay.
And essentially what happens is it's a trademarked product made by Sealed Air, where they will actually fill the bubbles with air to protect products like electronics for shipping. And so I think a lot of people play kind of a game, they want to pop those bubbles. Definitely don't pop them if you can resist the urge, because reuse is a much better tool for this, and a lot of the value of the reuse is having them stay inflated.
True.
We have several items on the site that you can use your bubble wrap for, including you can make costumes out of it for Halloween. Very timely this time of year, but you want to make sure it stays inflated as a result. Sealed Air also does have a mail-in program, so you can actually send in your bubble wrap, as well as other products like the sealed pillows that you have for electronics, and foam packaging that's also polyethylene made by Sealed Air. They will accept all that via mail at no charge. And then if you do decide you want to recycle it and aren't going to use the mail-in program, you can also take it to many grocery stores that have plastic bag recycling, since it's the same material as the bags.
That's good. I think I've mentioned before, I had a friend who had a small business, Cartridge World franchise, and I would give all my bubble wrap to her, because when they were sending their cartridges back into their home supplier, they didn't get any money to pay for supplies. Yeah. So they're wanting to recycle, but it's actually costing them. And so by me giving her the bubble wrap, that was some way of reducing their cost. Fortunately for her, she's retired. And so now I need to find a new outlet for my bubble wrap that builds up.
Well, and that's an important point. We can help other people and organizations recycle better by doing a little bit of reuse ourselves.
Well, Trey, what other recycling things should we be thinking about with regard to Halloween? What are some of the biggest waste producers?
I would say the biggest one is something people don't really think about. I mean, we talk a lot about candy wrappers and decorations and things like that, and whether there's a recycling market. But the one we might take for granted is those red Solo cups. If you're having, Halloween's a big time for house parties.
Right.
A lot of curbside programs will not accept those red cups because they're made from polystyrene, which is not one of the more easy plastic recycling markets.
Wow.
So I really encourage people, when they're looking to host a house party, consider an alternative source for your beverage containers than those red Solo cups.
Well, I had no idea those were not made of a standard recyclable plastic.
I did.
Did you? Well, you've had some interviews with people who are producing like eco cups that will degrade.
Right.
So there are more options out there now.
Yeah. The combination of whatever the liner is to make it hold the water, or whatever the liquid is, and the material is still problematic in many cases, but these new biodegradable cups, particularly bamboo cups, the fiber has a water resistant quality, so it serves as a cup and then breaks down. Nice.
Well, our next story, Sarah, would you tell us about Halloween costumes and also eco-friendly fabrics, if we're going to try our hand at making our own?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the top recommendations that I have for Halloween costumes is to repurpose or reuse things that you already have. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of us have fun scarves or hats or wigs or all kinds of stuff. And you can put together some great costumes many times just from digging through the closet or maybe borrowing something from a friend or a neighbor. Another thing that can work out quite well, my son is repurposing or reusing his costume from last year, and he's really excited about it. So, considering costumes from last year, maybe spicing them up or adding an accessory. Another option is just making a costume. And sometimes you can take materials that you already have at home, maybe an old T-shirt, and make it into something new. Or instead of buying some of the plastic accessories, like instead of maybe buying a plastic sword or something, you can make one out of cardboard or and paint it. So it can be a fun process to get ready too, instead of just buying a pre-printed plastic costume off of the shelf.
Mm-hmm. Well, you had a story up on the website on how to choose eco-friendly fabrics that I thought was really fascinating. Yeah.
So basically, one of the main things that I was thinking about when I wrote this article is considering where the fibers come from. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of fibers are synthetic, and so they're made from petroleum, basically. So buying fabrics that are not petroleum based and come from renewable resources. So bamboo is a great one. It comes from a highly renewable resource, and it requires few chemical inputs. And it's also really durable. There's another kind of fabric called lyocell, which is made from bleached pulp from fiber trees.
Oh.
And it's soft, and it also has antibacterial properties. Hemp is another great one. Organic cotton is a good option. The only thing is cotton requires quite a bit of water for production, so it's not quite as attractive as some of the other options.
Well, this is an interesting question. So if you had the choice between an organic cotton shirt and one that was made of let's just say regular polyester, because polyester doesn't require as much water, and of course it requires oil, which would you choose?
I personally would choose the cotton, and part of it's just the feel of it, because I don't like the feel of polyester materials, and then they're not biodegradable as well.
Okay.
Cotton is highly biodegradable, but non-organic cotton has a really big environmental footprint, like from pesticide use and also the water use, and a lot of cotton is genetically modified, but
and that cotton's it's like buying both the polyester and the organic shirt and getting the worst of both.
Yeah. And then now there's some recycled polyester options as well. Like Patagonia makes some fleeces and things like that out of recycled polyester, and H&M also has a conscious collection. So that's an area, again, where I was talking about how corporations can help create some of the solutions, and that's an area that we've been seeing that.
Well, in the Halloween costumes, one of the things that I like to do is go to Goodwill. I mean, Goodwill and other thrift stores have huge selections of used costumes, and then, all just unusual attire like wedding dresses and things that can be made into costumes. But I'll also check out the sheets occasionally to see if there are, large amounts of fabric that I can reuse. And so one of the things I'll look for the next time I'm doing that is there's more sheets now that are made with the bamboo than there used to be. So maybe I could find some more eco sheets to use for sewing.
Well, the other thing that just occurred to me is we're talking about Halloween or Recycloween.
Recycloween.
But this also applies to people who are into cosplay.
Oh, totally.
Right. And there is a massive growing audience of adults who should be thinking about these kind of choices when they're making costumes as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that is a huge market. Yeah. Interesting.
And because I was going to, try to relate stories about my children's, because we always made our costumes. But they still make costumes.
Do they go to the Comic-Con type things?
Selectively.
Yeah.
And they have their themes.
Yeah.
And they enjoy getting together and dressed up with other people.
I think some of the most fun, unusual, exciting costumes, too, are things that are made out of repurposed materials, because they really involve creativity. Like when I was pregnant with my son, I bought a pair of overalls and cut out a circle in them. And so my stomach stuck out because I was 7 months pregnant at the time. And then I drew a pumpkin on my belly. And then I walked around as a farmer carrying a pumpkin, and it was just such a fun way to incorporate my son into the event as well. But things like that you can't find prepackaged on a shelf.
No. Well, I think too, and Sarah, you've mentioned this, having your kids be participating in figuring out their costumes and, maybe helping to put them together, that just expands the fun of Halloween so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. One year my son wanted to be Santa Claus, and so he and I made a beard together out of cotton balls.
Excellent.
Which was lots of fun.
Excellent. All right. Well, our last, not the last story, but the last Halloween story. Recycloween story is about alternatives to Halloween candy. And I was very interested in this. And I'm looking at my notes here, trying to pull them up. So as a kid, and actually as an adult, I love candy. And I don't think I would have been very happy to get too many alternatives to candy. But apparently, according to an article we have up on our website from 2016, we spend more than $2 billion on candy each and every Halloween. in this country.
We do.
And that's 200 million pounds of candy. And the stats are that the
individually
wrapped tiny candies, the average American consumes 3.4 pounds of candy over Halloween. And I can attest that's probably accurate. And the average child consumes 7,000 calories, or the equivalent of 3 cups of sugar.
That day
in a very condensed period of time. I mean, so I started thinking, maybe some alternatives would be a good idea.
Well, the problem is a lot of people still think that there are people who poison or put razor blades or whatever it is.
All those urban myths.
And there, I think, has only been one proven case of candy tampering in all of American history.
Yeah.
But I can still remember my mother saying, "Oh, I don't know about that. It might have a razor blade in it."
Right.
So delivering something to the child that looks and feels trustworthy is part of the problem of Halloween. And that's also just a trust problem with neighbors.
Yeah, totally is. Well, and actually in my neighborhood, I don't know all the little kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of them I do, but a lot of them, if they're a street over, I don't know. But here's some alternatives, non-food alternatives that I thought were really great. And this one, I'm using it next year, coins. And the author says, as a child, one of my neighbors had a bucket of coins to dish out at Halloween. We'd walk up to the door and they'd pour a big scoop of coins into each of our buckets. No matter that it was mostly pennies, we loved it. And I thought, that's great. I would probably, if I got, especially mostly pennies, that would probably be less than I spend on Halloween candy.
Yeah, or you could get, the other thing you do is there might be commemorative coins or something, remind them to recycle. It could be all sorts of things.
That would be interesting.
Made interesting choices.
Yeah. There's other choices, tumbled stones. I love that idea too, but I'm not sure if I want to bother to get tumbled stones. Halloween novelties, friendship bracelets. Now that could be fun. I could make those during the year. Glow stick necklaces. And bouncy balls.
And every one of those things can be used more than once. Right.
And it's kind of fun, especially if the kids are getting a lot of candy. But this is the most brilliant part of this article. This is a question of what do you do with the extra candy that you have? And
that's where you get your 7,000 calories.
That's right, exactly. But no, because I'm going to introduce you to the Switch Witch.
Recycloween is getting more intriguing all the time.
That's right. So the Switch Witch is a witch who needs a ton of candy because she's going to have a party with her other witch friends. So what you do is if you leave your extra candy out on the front porch, she'll take your candy and she'll leave you a gift in return.
Interesting. Okay. So
it's
a game in addition to a gift.
Yeah. So probably your kids will keep some of the candy for themselves, figure out how much, take the rest, put it out front, and it's kind of like the tooth fairy, Yeah. In return, the kids the next morning get to go out and find a present where the Switch Witch is thanking them for their gift of candy. I love that idea. I think that is brilliant. Now then, of course, as an adult, then you've got to get rid of the candy. And
there aren't trade-in programs, unfortunately.
I know. Although there is information on our website about how to recycle your candy wrappers. So that's a start. There's a second story on the website about alternatives to candy that I thought had some really interesting things. One of the suggestions was seed packets, especially if you go out seed packets for indoor plants so the kids who are excited can start, some plants in the inside. Chia pet. Yeah. But I thought these were really excellent ideas, and I thought they would be fun. The kids are going to get plenty of candy anyway, so why not have some fun and do something a little bit different?
I like it, and it'd be except for the fact that the Switch Witch would end up with pounds of candy that would have to be consumed. I think that the whole system looks pretty good.
Well, I think there's probably some places you could turn the candy in. You might be able to turn it into a food bank, and then it'll get sort of sorted out a little bit.
Do they really need that?
Well, yeah, they do, because a lot of people, don't get enough calories. I'm not one of them, but a lot of people don't get enough calories in their life, and so a few pieces of candy to go along with their,
I just wonder whether that's the healthiest thing to give people. But on the other hand,
well, it's not the healthiest thing.
It is also a way of sharing, and
it's
that's
a way of
what
sharing. And I think if you're going to a food bank and you're getting your apples and all of your healthy stuff, a little bit of candy would probably be quite nice. Yeah. Okay.
It was funny. One year we couldn't. As a house, agree. I had some roommates at the time agree on what kind of candy to give out. One person wanted to get natural chocolates, but it was quite expensive given how many trick-or-treaters we had. So we ended up giving out organic carrots. Because I had some housemates that were farmers, so we gave out carrots. And it wasn't really that well received. And then I took my daughter trick-or-treating, and she was only 1 at the time. So then I brought back her candy, and then we were just giving what she had collected out. So that was kind of a
good
great
fast
way
switch.
to recycle it right away. And the Switch Witch visits our house too.
Does
although
she?
My kids are not very excited about it.
Oh, they're not?
They usually get things like honey sticks or slightly less junky sweets instead.
Oh,
so
no.
maybe I need to up the ante and buy them a nice
Switch Witch needs to change it up. The article mentioned, the author said that Switch Witch would be leaving her daughter's crystals this year because that was something they were particularly interested in. So,
well, Switch Witch will be a new tradition. Let's push it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I like it. So finally, we have one little. Oh, Trey, did you want to say something?
Make sure you compost your pumpkins. There are several good stories on the site about that. Once Halloween's over, make sure those pumpkins get composted.
Excellent. Rather than smashed in the street.
Well, there's that. The other thing is we have several articles on how to take things that you've used for Halloween and use them again for Thanksgiving.
Oh, excellent. Very good.
Making it, of course, Thanks-cycling.
Yeah, we might need to work on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to make soup out of my kids' pumpkins, but I'm not sure how that'll work if there's been a candle inside of it.
Oh, I don't know. Might be toasty, though. Toast, like a roasted pumpkin, maybe.
Well, the other thing you can do is hollow them out, fill them with wax, put a wick in it, and use it as a candle during the month of November.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. All right. Well, our last story is something that I wanted Mitch to cover because this is something that's very close to his heart.
That's because I drink so much coffee.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm a 10-shot-a-day person, folks. And Starbucks, as a result, uses 600 billion paper cups a year. Excuse me, they don't. They use about 6 billion paper cups. We as a society use 600 billion paper cups. Wow. And Starbucks wanted to do a better job, so they started a contest. And this is actually taken from what we have done with something called the X Prize, which was awarded for the first commercially viable space program. It's been awarded for a couple of energy programs. They lay out a $1 million or a $10 million goal and say the first one that gets it and can prove it can be done gets the money, and that has resulted in some significant things. What Starbucks is doing is they're putting out a $1 million challenge to inventors who can design a sustainable cup lid, and other materials you'd use in the coffee shop. And if you've got a better idea, you can enter before November 5th and be one of the contestants to win up to 1/6 of that money. Wow. But what comes with that is coaching by an organization called Closed Loop Partners, which is an investment fund that is dedicated to introducing the circular economy. So if you win, you get some money to launch a company to begin to make your cup or lid or whatever it is, the coaching to do it, and you can become a successful entrepreneur with Starbucks' help because, of course, they're going to buy these things. Mm-hmm. I think it's a great way for companies to get the kind of feedback. We actually had, about 3-4 months ago, started this conversation in our forums that we really needed a new coffee cup lid. We had suggested a couple of ideas there, in fact, members of the community. And interestingly, Starbucks released something shortly after we started talking about it that looked a lot like some of what we were describing. Not that it took it at all, but it's just, it's interesting that these ideas emerge at the same time. And that's really looking back over the course of history. Right now, we're at one of those points where we need a new way. Mm-hmm. In the past, we couldn't really account for the motion of the universe until we had calculus. And 2 people came up with calculus at the same time without talking to one another. That's the kind of thing we're looking at today. Is there's great ideas everywhere. How do we get them into consideration? And this approach with the contest is, I think, a great way to go. So if you have an idea, November 5th is the deadline. Get in. And you can find information about that at the Starbucks site. It's a really long URL, but it's in our story, which is called Starbucks $1 Million Compostable Cup Challenge.
Excellent. Well, are we ready for our Earthling questions?
Well, they're always earth-shattering, so let's go for it.
Okay. First up, from Karen in Kent. Kent, which is quite near Tacoma, actually, in Washington.
Kent, Washington.
She says, I'm curious, and I am too, so this is a good question. I'm curious if there's any place that takes and can recycle the array of little plastic caps from soup boxes, liquid eggs, vitamin bottles, etc.
Well, first off, in Kent, Washington, you can put those things into your curbside program. But again, it's a matter of recycling it, cleaning, or separating it and cleaning it appropriately. So if the lids are dirty, wash them before you do so. And actually, Trey, why don't you talk a little about what the different kinds of materials are? Because this is several different kinds of plastic.
Yeah, usually, or in the past, they used to make the caps from probably propylene primarily. A lot of the industry has actually shifted to make them more out of high-density polyethylene. So it used to be number 5 plastic, the PP, and now it's the number 2 more primarily, which is HDPE, which is a more commonly accepted plastic for recycling. So I think that's why you're going to see a lot more curbside programs willing to take these caps.
And if you're wondering about this for yourself at home, and this is certainly the case in Kent, Washington, you can go to the Earth911 search recycling search and enter your zip code and pick out one of the plastic lid categories in our search, and it'll tell you whether or not you can put it right in your curbside or whether you have to take it somewhere locally, and of course it'll provide those destinations. But these little bits and pieces of plastic that are in our lives are really the second order problem that we have. We talk about the bottles, but the stuff we use to seal them or to seal a similar kind of container are all over the place. And just in the last week, we've seen several pieces of research about the presence of microplastics, which we've talked about before. It's in more than 90% of our drinking water. And more than 90% of our bottled water, too. But they also found it in salt. More than 90% of table salt sold now includes microplastics. And just in the last few days, they found it in the human gut.
Really? Well, I guess it doesn't surprise me if it's in salt and water.
But the fact that they now can say we've tracked it end to end is something that is the beginning of research about its impact. So that's great to see. These small pieces of plastic are something that we let slip because they are kind of a hassle.
Right.
Take the time to separate them and put them in your curbside, and we'll be better off.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, I have disposable contact lenses. You wear them for about a week, 2 weeks, and then you throw them out. And I used to rinse them down the sink. And only recently did it occur to me that that was not the very smartest thing to do. And so now I wrap them in toilet paper and throw them in the trash. But I still worry.
Well, the stuff going down theoretically should be treated, but the problem is that you're still talking about sub-2 micron fragments, and that's what we're finding in all of our stuff. So the less stuff you flush down the toilet, too, is better.
No, I agree. Well, this is a good question. I think one of the confusions with bottle tops is that in some recycling areas, like in mine, you can't recycle the lids to like your yogurt container. But it's not because of the plastic, it's because of the shape of the lid and the way it gets caught in the machinery, I believe.
And it also has to do with the material, because it might be a composite material of aluminum and something else. Yeah.
So our second question is from Eric, who asked the question on Facebook, which is great. He says, "Hi, I'm looking for somewhere to recycle EVA foam. I have blocks we were given as a gift for our baby. EVA foam didn't come up on your website. Could you help?"
Well, so EVA foam is a craft foam, and you're very familiar with it. In this case, it's something that people use as bolsters for newborns, so they don't roll over or roll onto their stomach. And that's the use we're referring to here. But you've seen these things in pool noodles.
Right, I was thinking pool noodles.
EVA is what flip-flops are made from. Flip-flops, by the way, is the only EVA-based material we have in the database right now. Trey, tell us a little about EVA, because this is another one of those evolving plastic stories.
Yeah, the foam is always a challenge, because when we talk about recycling, what we're talking about is breaking something back down into its original material. When something is foamed, it can't be defoamed. So the only way you can make it into a new product is to make it into more of that foam. So there are programs that are mail-in based that will accept things like yoga mats for making them into new yoga mats. I'm not sure if they'll take EVA in all forms, though.
Right, and that's reuse is one of the best things you can do with this, and because it's generally treated as a craft foam, something you might carve. It's the blocks that you would use as a bolster for a baby are an ideal art project waiting to be carved away. So think about reuse rather than recycling as well. But EVA is a recyclable foam. Just think about when you're going to do it. It isn't necessarily time to recycle the first time you're done with it.
Very good. All right.
Well, those are the Earthling questions. Thanks, folks. Keep them coming.
Any other things we want to talk about before we close out?
No.
Okay, then. This is the end of our Recycloween program. We hope everyone has a wonderful Halloween and takes the time to think about recycling in the context of how to celebrate this holiday.
All you ghouls out there, have a great time.
That's right. Well, I should add, last time we asked for your input on program themes, and we did get some advice about doing a show on world hunger and food waste, and we'll take that up in November around Thanksgiving, or Recyclo-giving, or Thanks Recyclo, whatever. We'll figure it out before that.
We're going to have real trouble with Christmas, Hanukkah.
Oh, man, it's going to be tough.
Various other religions and religious holidays when we're recycling.
That's right. But keep the ideas coming. We really appreciate it, and we will incorporate them into our schedule. If you have ideas or any other comments, send it to feedback@earth911.com. You can always find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and, of course, at our earth911.com website.
And don't just find us, share us.
Share us, do. And we'll see you next time.
Take care, everybody.